The meeting of the Monroe Township Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know.
Mr. Gorski, can we please have a roll call?
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Here.
Mr. Chiarella.
Here.
Mrs. Antilles.
Here.
Mr. Braverman.
Here.
Mr. Kaufman.
Here.
Mr. Klein.
Here.
Mr. Leary.
Here.
Mr. Masters.
Here.
Mr. Tesler.
Here.
Mrs. Ferroni. Madam Board President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted November 11th, 2011, 1, at all schools, 2, Home News Tribune, 3, Cranberry Press, and 4, filed with the clerk of the municipality. We have a packed agenda for this evening, so we're going to try to move along as swiftly as we can. So right now we will go to number 5, our student board members report.
Good evening. First off, Monroe Township's first homecoming was held October 14th, where students enjoyed pre-homecoming games hosted by student council and then proceeded to go on to the football game afterward. The iPad presentation was held by Mr. Goodall October 17th through October 25th and is now in full usage in school, as you can see that I'm doing now. Monroe Township High School's first showcase was a success and ran from the 27th through the 29th. And Monroe Township first hosted its band competition October 22nd.
Good evening. The first coffee house was held yesterday in the Commons area. Teachers and students performed. 45 people attended. The first marking period ended November 15th. Also a reminder, the Powder Puff game is tomorrow, where junior and senior girls compete against each other in playing football. Also, report cards were mailed 23rd of November, and school is closed on 24th and 25th of November for Thanksgiving.
Thank you. At this time, we will go to number 6, recognition of special award received by Nancy Mitrasak and the Monroe Township Public Schools. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Gorski.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome Miss Nancy Mitrasak, a very special guest, our food service director. Nancy and the Board of Education are the recipient of the Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission Certificate of Employer Appreciation for community-based instruction and job sampling work for the hiring and instructional training of handicapped students in the Monroe Township High School cafeteria.
Speech.
Yes, Nancy, speech or lunch, whichever you prefer.
We had a great opportunity. For many of you who do not know, Monroe Township School District also satellites meals to the Academy Learning Center. 2 years ago, they hired an employee who had worked in the Monroe schools to manage their kitchen. And every day I go over there, she has a kitchen full of students working side by side. So when we opened the new high school, we saw an opportunity to place one of the students, and the Academy Learning Center is very pleased. It's a first, and we are delighted to have Carlos working in the kitchen. So that's great. This is it.
Nancy, you know how much you are appreciated not only in this district but all around this community. Thank you. At this time, we're going to interchange number 7 and number 8. So we're going to do the iPad presentation by our students, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Gorman.
Well, actually,
We're going to actually have our high school principal, Mr. Rob Goodall, and our director of guidance, Michelle Curtelli, to do this presentation.
Good evening, everyone. One of the great things about my job is to get to showcase our students and all of their many, many talents. We're a month into the implementation, and right away, teachers started to identify and recommend kids who not only help other students, but help the teachers. It's been a learning curve for all of us, and so we've brought them here tonight to kind of showcase what they can do. Mrs. Critelli worked very hard to put this presentation together with them. At this time, I just ask that they come up and identify themselves, what their name is and what grade they're in, so everyone knows who you are.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Chin, and I am in 12th grade.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Bacardi, and I'm in 10th grade.
My name is Michael Harrigan, and I am in grade 11.
Hi, my name is Mike Foy, and I'm a sophomore.
Hey, my name's Adam Ginsell. I'm in 10th grade.
Hello, my name is William Hoffman, and I am in 12th grade.
Hi, I'm Mike Tomasulo, and I'm a junior.
Hi, my name is Srinikesh Gande, and I'm in 11th.
My name's Jacob Holler, and I'm in 10th.
I'm Steve Ignara, and I'm in 12th.
I am Tolby Liu. I'm a senior.
I'm Paul Martin Gentile, and I'm 11th.
I'm Nick Wong, and I'm a senior.
Hi everyone, I'm Arthi Suresh, and I'm in 12th grade.
I'm Brian Latwis. I'm in 11th grade.
Hi, I'm Joe O, and I'm in 11th grade.
We have some very, very bright and talented students here at the high school. I'll ask right now if you guys can go out into your stations and set up. Right from the get-go, we had a student come up to us when he heard about the initiative to assist us. He was here for the implementation and orientation disbursement nights, and his name is Michael Harrigan. He's a junior here. He worked with all of the parents and kids to do the parent survey on the night that we gave out all the iPads, and he's been very, very helpful, and we see him as a real leader in the building. And Mike's going to do a little presentation for you on a presentation on the PowerPoint, and then we're going to ask the board and anyone else who wants to go around and see what the students have prepared tonight. So Mike, it's all yours.
Set up, and we can get started. Everyone see that good? Is there a problem? No. Okay. Well, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of how we use the iPads. You guys, after I'm done, you can go around and there's a more in-depth look on how we use them. And if you have any questions when I'm done, you can feel free to ask me. But I'm just going to give you what I think are the best things that the iPad has given us. So the first one is definitely organization. As my third year in high school, I realized organization is huge. You need to be well organized in order to succeed. And the iPad does that. We have the app called Pages. This is where we all take notes now. We also have another application called Notes. That's just the standard application on the iPhone. But this one lets you organize folders based on your classes. So up there I have 3 folders. I have algebra, I have history, and I have my video production class. I can easily find every document I've ever taken notes on, or my homework. I do all my homework on there now. And it's much easier than looking through a binder and losing papers and saying, where'd my homework go? You have no excuse anymore, like my dog ate my homework, stuff like that. But like I said, it keeps you very organized than more previous years. The second thing is obviously going green. It's a paperless world now. Everything from grades to scoring rubrics to instructions on how to do a project are all delivered through something called Goodreader. Goodreader can be connected to your Z drive in the school, and every student has a drive where it puts all your documents you've saved, all the documents you've made on there, and it delivers it right to your iPad. So if you're on a laptop we use in school and you're in one class and you make a document, it'll be on your iPad, coexist with each other. So this is another good thing. Like I said, grading too. Teachers will now grade on a rubric using the iPad. They use their stylus to grade, and they will send you the immediate rubric within minutes of when they get your paper. As long as they grade it fast, you have it. So like I said, everything's eco-friendly now, and no more paper. And the last thing, I'm going to leave it here so you guys can go around and take a look. It's endless opportunities. As the iPad system grows, iOS, we're soon to be getting iOS 5. As that grows, so will the opportunities. So as Apple updates their system, gets more advanced, stuff like that, so will we. It'll all come along with this device. Many things, I can't even tell you what the future will have in store for the iPad because I have no clue. But that's about it. I'm done with my presentation. So if anyone has any questions, you can let me know, and you go around.
Okay, at this time, if the board would like to go visit our students for a little while.
Good job.
You're an excellent speaker.
Thank you.
Going into politics?
No. Going into
Awesome. I got guys that work for me in Mumble. This kid's in junior high.
Run a better meeting than me.
Good job.
So you're saying it's the top of the
Teachers actually, they put them online, and then we download them.
the one foster.
Let's go on, you have time on here, but if you download it right here, you have exactly what the teacher wants.
Do the students that are working in the cafeteria pay the gentleman in the
Whereas the instructor has our board, I just write
check with Nancy, because I think legally they have to have it. It's not a student yet.
I don't mind.
For me, it was kind of like, I'm not kind of the girl was kind of good.
How long is it?
I'm not sure about that option. It might be like a fee or if you wanted to like well, me personally, I haven't, but I know a lot of people.
The board would like whoever's the
Sign up for that account and sign up for your personal but now I think it's just like but
Very good. And I downloaded the clicker.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
I just asked Al to keep this clicker, and you're telling me that I don't need this now. That's really funny. No denying this. It really is.
This is a closed session. but there is where they show new courses. Aerospace they have, but what else did I see? I thought I saw something else. I would bring it up. Aerospace is strong, there's different. No, absolutely bring it up. Bring up
What we'll do when we have public forum, and it's probably
That's where your house is ginormous, right?
Oh, yeah. Kids go crazy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, it's okay. This one's
So you guys must be like best friends.
No, we've always had
Getting it a year, I thought she hated me. Because my friend Ferris wanted to
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, Merrill. I know Merrill.
I knew nobody was like, I did.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and I need your different hand back there. And Mike, I'm gonna need your. There were 2 copies. We only signed 1. That agreement.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Okay. So I ended up sitting with Heather. And after a while, like,
The kids love them.
it's on the other side of Pines, right? Like if you go into Pines and you move around. And then
You want today's date?
Good evening. If the board would like to reconvene, we'll move on with our meeting.
Are you back? I go home and I am so yeah. It worked out very nice for her. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Can I please have the rest of the board members come back to the table?
It takes a
I
while
did.
to reorganize.
Nobody can hear.
Now football's completely.
Sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Tesler?
There was a game on there. Sorry. ESPN has a college game set up.
Can I please have the board members back to the table so we can reconvene our meeting? Thank you.
How you doing? John, I'd like to bang the gavel. Sure. Yeah.
Well, that was an excellent presentation by our students, and they seem very excited to be using the iPads, and this little time that I spent with them, I learned a lot. Because I'm iPad illiterate, I guess would be the right word. Okay, at this time, we will go back to number 7, the Student Achievement Data Presentation with Dr. Gorman.
Okay, good evening, everybody. All right, so one of the cool things I just realized after watching Michael speak is I don't need this clicker anymore because it's a simple app that I can download on my iPhone to click, which I think Dr. Hamilton already did. So thank you again, guys. You are awesome, 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 and we really appreciate having you showcase to the audience what you guys are doing in the classrooms. We really appreciate that, and keep on going and do great things for us. So this, hopefully what we're trying to do is make a connection between what the kids and the teachers are doing and our district data and our student achievement. So I'm here today to provide you with a very brief overview of data analysis. We'll post it tonight on on our website, and we'll follow up with any questions, comments, or thoughts about it. This data is being used to help us gauge how we are, how we match up against other districts that we are commonly compared to by DFG, and to take a look at how we're doing to make sure that we're on task with how we're instructing, with our curriculum, and with our practices, and how kids are learning and achieving at our level. Kathy, I did not get a chance to do that, but I will tell you Monroe Township is an FG district factor group. I will change that and include us in this presentation today. Here are very often the districts that we're comparing through our district factor group. And here's the rest of Middlesex County. This is only a Middlesex County comparison at this point. And last year I came to you and I did a similar presentation, but a little more deeper in January based off of a Star Ledger article that was put out and reporting out on different levels of the data. At this time, the data is not as deep, so we're giving you the overview of what we've received from the Department of Education.
Jeff, do you segment to say that, well, we're a K-12 and we have more than 3,500 students, and that the comparable ones are North Brunswick, Albridge, and South Plainfield?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And I can adjust this and readjust so we can use this as a way to look at our data to inform our decision making. So I'll give you first our language arts literacy in grades 3 to 8. That's the NJS component, and the grade 11 is the high school proficiency assessment. And if you take a look at the Monroe Township scores and the DFG, consistently we're percentages above them. And this is a percentage of increase over here, this whole row. So again, Monroe Township versus comparable districts, or as you said, John, in our county. And here's a visual representation. And again, you can see our line consistently above the DFG. Okay, when you look at this analysis, this is a 3-year breakdown of how we are doing in the area of literacy. But what I'd like to point your attention to when you look at this data, a couple of things. If you follow the class, grade 3, you see that when you follow them on the diagonal to grade 4 and to grade 5, you'll start seeing different patterns of achievement. And I think that's really where the analysis is very valuable, to see how we're really doing over a 3-year trend. And again, we're looking at trends, positive and negative trends. And again, a different way to look at it, different visual representation. This is the high school, again, over a 3-year period. And I didn't include the high school in the last graph because there's a gap of 9th and 10th grade which don't provide standardized test scores of this magnitude. And then our advanced proficiency. This is probably our favorite slide because, again, you can see a consistent ramping up of advanced proficient students. So, and then if you look at the classes again on the diagonal, you'll see this spiking up. And again, you can see it right here as we continue to trend upward over a 3-year time period. And again, in advanced proficiency at the high school at the HSPA level. Okay, so this math slide is a very telling slide in a lot of ways. When we started to analyze the data, we again started looking, we looked at the DFG, again, Monroe and DFG, and what I want to point out to you, for good or for bad, or what it means, is yet to be determined. We have some ideas about what it means. But if you look at the drop-off from grade 6 to grade 7, you say, holy cow. But then if you look at the DFG, you see a significant similarity. So it's not necessarily a Monroe issue. It might be a testing issue. It might be a curriculum issue. It might be a standard issue. It might be a combination of all the variables that I just described to you. But it was reassuring as we were saying, what the heck happened here, that this it led us to different types of conclusions and different type of a thought process when we're looking at our curriculum and our instruction. And again, you could see trends, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for general trends. And so I'm not going to draw all the conclusions for you necessarily, but we'll definitely be able, when we sit together at different levels. So we've done this at math and language arts department meetings with our supervisors. We've done this with our principals and assistant principals. We've done this at our advisory cabinet. So we continually use this type of data to drive our instruction. The next piece is the principals will use this type of tool with their staff members, and then equally to you, the public and the board, to look at where we are in our educational process. And again, in the high school in mathematics, should be noted that even though it's going down, these are staggering numbers to me on advanced proficiency. This means more than half of our kids, close to half of our kids, are not only proficient, but advanced proficient. I think that's a real strong testament to our district and our children and our community. And again, you could take a look at our trends in advanced proficiency. And then lastly, our science data is only measured in grades 4 and grade 8. And I'm not really sure what this is yet, but we've been talking a lot about it and looking at even if, is this statistically significant? It might just be, I don't know if it's a real trending pattern, so we have to go deeper into our data analysis. And in conclusion, here's our source. This comes from Measurement, Inc., which does all the data reporting for the New Jersey Department of Education. And we'll post this up there. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and comment and continue this dialogue on how we use data to sort of drive our practices in the district. Okay.
Ask the same question.
Are there any questions for Dr. Gorman by any member of the Board of Education? Well, then it does look like we're heading in the right direction, and that's a compliment to the board, to the administration, and especially to our staff who's teaching our students. At this time, we will go to number 9, the presentation of the 2010-2011 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. Mr. Gorski.
I'd like to introduce at this time Mr. Jerry Stankiewicz from Samuel Klein & Company, independent certified public accountants.
Good evening. I am very happy to be here tonight to present the audit, and I had 2 tough acts to follow, but I also have good news as well. My staff performed the audit starting in mid-July and ending around October 31st. And we did it in pieces, the audit, and we weren't there that whole time, but we were in and out, and we had to get a good feeling for the transactions and the performance of the business office for the year ended June 30th of 2011. And we did. We have 2 documents that we have produced, one of which is a thick document, which is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, which inside of it contains an independent auditor's opinion that expresses a clean, otherwise known as an unqualified opinion, okay? And part of that has to do with the latitude that was given in prior years from the board to the business office to develop and maintain proper staffing, proper controls, and proper competence amongst all the people. A lot of it also had to do, too, with the fact that the ability was given to transition from a long-time noted business administrator to a younger one upon Wayne Holliday's retirement. So I want to say this, in the 33 years I've been doing this was probably the smoothest transition in any entity that I've ever had where a district this size. And I think that's a tribute to the board and also to Mike Gorski. So And in spite of the fact that there was significant volume of vouchers and invoices being processed because of the opening of the new high school. What we had done during the process was we actually looked to make sure that all documentation for all disbursements are proper, that the bid law has been complied with and the quote law. Also, we made sure that the bills were cut off properly at the end of the fiscal year. Those three criteria are key in my mind, and the reconciliation of the bank accounts to the penny on a monthly basis also contributed to our opinion. So in the end, we have an unqualified opinion, and we also have another document that we produced, which is called it's actually my representation to the board members in a verbal way as to the operation of the finance office. If this document showed no matters of noncompliance of any of the state laws or any of the financial or auditing requirements of a school district in the United States and also operating in New Jersey. Had we had any major problems in this thinner book, we might not have had as a good opinion in the thicker book. So we end the year with a clean opinion, and we end with no comments or recommendations. We don't even have comments that have a hint of negativism in them. So I want to congratulate Mike and his staff, because I will tell you, the staff was very cooperative, and they're very helpful, and they also, you should want to do a good job, and I want to thank them as well.
Thank you. I'm going to have Mr. Gorski has a few words.
I would like to reiterate that as a result of Mr. Stankowitz's very thorough audit, and as he presented in his independent auditor's opinion letter, the financial statements, which are the representations of management, present fairly in the financial position of all the funds of the Monroe Township Board of Education as of June 30, 2011. We earned a clean opinion with no audit recommendations and no audit comments. This would not have been possible without the very professional central office staff, especially Mrs. Laura Allen, CPA, and Mr. Jerry Tague, Director of Facilities. It also would not have been possible without the hard work and commitment of Dr. Hamilton and the Board of Education members, including especially Mr. John Leary, who as chairperson of the Finance Committee contributes greatly to the internal control processes with his monthly internal audit of the bill lists, examining every disbursement over $10,000 for proper authorization, accounting, bidding, quoting, and voucher evidence. Mr. Leary, if you choose to retire, and this is your last audit, you will be greatly missed. This result was particularly difficult considering the dramatic loss of 95% of our state aid, or $4.4 million, which had a great effect on our staffing and our budget, which was also defeated as a result of the direct consequence that loss had on the tax rate. Dozens of staff were let go, and another 60 retired, yet student programs remained intact, serving 200 additional students. Looking forward, we recognize that we are still deep in a very depressed economic environment with 11.1% unemployment in the township. We will hold that fact very closely when we design the 2012-2013 budget shortly, and I thank the public for your trust and support.
Mr. Leary?
Yeah. Thank you. It is recommended that members of the Board of Education accept and approve the comprehensive annual financial report and the auditor's management report on administrative findings, financial compliance, and performance for the financial year ending June 30th, 2011, as presented.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Klein, motion by Mr. Leary. Is there any comments or questions by members of the Board of Education? Mr. Chiarella?
Yeah, Mr. Gorski, I just want to thank you and your team and Dr. Hamilton for everything that you do and the oversight. And I know that you guys watch every penny, and I know that you report everything to the board, almost to a fault. But I just want to know how you do that and how you're able to do all this without any gray hair. Something's up. I just have to.
It's turning, don't worry.
It's turning.
When mine turn, no one will know.
No comment.
Anyone else from the board? No, I just like to make a couple comments. I'd like to thank Mr. Gorski, Ms. Laura Allen, and the business department for another excellent job this year. Again, a clean report with no comments or recommendations, and that's phenomenal. I think it has to be noted, too, that this was a transition year for Mr. Gorski, from Wayne Holiday to Mike. And it has been a difficult year because not only did he have the responsibilities of the business administrator, this was the first budget that he had handled by himself. We also was involved with negotiations and the opening of a new high school and the transition of our other schools this summer. He also took on the responsibility of the board secretary. So I just like to say, Mike, Mr. Gorski, that you've done a phenomenal job, and your department, I like to commend you.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Antelis? Yes. Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Mrs. Kolpanowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we will go to our public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. And since we have a full house tonight, we will adhere to our 3-minute speaking time limit.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Miglani. I'm a resident in Monroe Township. Do you want my address? Is that what you want?
Yes,
Okay.
your name and address.
Yeah, Bob Miglani, 42 Equestrian Way. Thank you. I'm delighted to see the new high school. It looks great. Yeah, I graduated from the old one, so I'm delighted to see a great new building that has our students. I'm here for 2 reasons. Number one, I wrote a letter to the Board of Education expressing my dissatisfaction and concern about the fact that one of my kids goes to Barclay Brook in the 1st grade, and there's no busing service that allows her to go to Eagle River for aftercare. While you allow that same busing service to be...
Is this on the agenda?
I know, it's a public forum, right? I thought.
Yes, but this public forum is just for things that are on the agenda.
Okay, so when's the public forum?
The second public forum?
Oh, so you want me to wait? You want me to sit
Yes,
back down?
please.
Okay. Fine.
Does anybody have anything to speak to the agenda? See.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. On page 7, item O, there's a opportunity for the board to approve various curricula for the high school. Some of those that particularly caught my eye were research, development, and applications, aerospace, African American experience, astronomy, biotechnology, thermodynamics, and equilibrium. I think it's chemistry. And I'm sorry, my name is Doug Poy. I live at 4 Tamarack Road. I left that out. But my question is, I'm assuming that these are courses already in existence. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then my question really is a general question in terms of what process is used to determine when, if a new course should be added, and does that process include whether or not you have staff that are qualified to teach that course? For example, if someone's going to be teaching the African American experience, I would hope that they've had some courses either at the bachelor's level, undergraduate level, or the graduate level in the history of the African American experience. Likewise, for aerospace, does someone have formal course preparations to teach that course, or is this simply a fly-by-night type of course? So I would appreciate if we could hear a little bit about that. That's one question. Another question that I have is on page 19, item P, that you'll be addressing later, which deals with alterations to room C-149, which is here in the high school. It doesn't specify the amount, nor does it specify why those alterations are necessary when we just opened the building. So I think as on the part of the public, I would request that we get some explanation of that. Thank you.
I will have Mr. Gorman answer the first question, and Mr. Gorski will take care of the second question.
Okay, regarding high school specifically, those courses are linked to certifications. So certification, teacher certifications do directly correlate to the courses that high school teachers teach. So a math certified teacher would not be teaching a language arts class in its purest sense. The curriculum goes through an extensive process on adding and taking away from our program of studies. It starts actually now for next year. It goes through a process of district content supervisors, the department coordinators, high school principal, assistant superintendent, curriculum instruction, curriculum committee, board approval before we add courses. So everything runs through that type of process. Postings go out at the end of after budget is approved or not approved, and obviously reflective of moving forward, being taken into the budget into consideration. Curriculum is written generally throughout the year, but specifically in the summertime as well. And teachers, not all, but generally speaking, a lot of times, like that research course that you had mentioned, Mr. Poi, that is actually, that comes from a college readiness approach and actually ties into our AVID program to some degree. I actually spoke to the kids. I was brought in as a presenter in that course a couple of weeks ago. We were looking at primary and secondary sources. But the reason I bring that up is that the teacher that wrote that curriculum is teaching the class. So it doesn't happen all the time that way, but then, so you make the connection between that content knowledge and the creators of content, so we're not just putting unqualified people in those courses. So that's the general flow of how we add and take away from our program of studies to meet the needs. It's primarily curriculum driven, and back ends with high school graduation and college readiness in mind, and then working backwards to how do we get there through different electives and different mandates by the states.
Thank you. Mr. Gorski?
Yes, with regard to the room, which is right opposite the media center, it's designed now as, I believe, a theater room and a museum room, and to convert it to a classroom requires an upgrade in the illumination and also the airflow. Both have to be increased, and it will be a rare change order to this high school project. This would be number 5, and most of the previous change orders had to do with projects for technology that we chose intentionally to pull out and do at a latter time as a change order, as opposed to have the contractor doing it to save money. The cost should not exceed $20,000, I understand, for this conversion.
Okay. Anyone else from the public?
Michelle Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. Could you tell me on M, page 12, how many bids were received for the snow removal?
That was advertised, and we only received 1 bid. And the bid was acceptable to our facilities director and the Building Grounds Transportation Committee.
So,
and it fits within what we had budgeted.
okay, so what is the contract's price for? You're accepting it, right? So you're awarding the bid, so what is that bid for, please?
The bid's for snow plowing.
Yes, I know, but the value of that
There's
contract.
different rates defined in there, depending on how many inches of snow.
Right.
You know, we talked about this.
What's the difference from last year to this year? Is there an increase?
Yes.
About how much per snow incident, based on?
It's difficult to say. We had a long-standing relationship with a vendor previously who, the main benefit that we received was where the snow was not that significant, and our facilities director determined that our staff could do it and save money. We could call up the day of the event and cancel the contractor from coming. Without that vendor in place, we no longer have that luxury, so it will be more expensive. How much exactly, it's hard to determine at this time.
So in other words, any snow event is going to be, to trigger snow removal from the vendor?
Yeah, of
Even
a
if it's a-
plowable nature. It's in the bid spec.
And what's the minimum plowable nature?
4 inches, I believe.
4 inches. So anything under that, that won't trigger the,
I just wanted to also mention that we received several applications to bid, so there were several firms that were interested in bidding, and then once they saw the specs and the nature of what we were asking for, only one placed a bid. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
But it's a fair and open process, and you're welcome to come in and inspect the bid.
Okay. And can you just explain H, the grant acceptance, for what purpose? And also
Is that
L.
where are you, Mrs. Arminio?
Page 18.
Page, no, well,
Ours is 18.
grant acceptance recommended that the board, the impact, active collaborations for teachers' impact, grants in the amount of $52,000.
Yes.
That's for,
That is a grant. We actually got that grant last year and was renewed again this year. It involves several of our special ed teachers and a consortium with Rutgers University.
and what will that accomplish for the children?
That will provide some training, some access to technology, technological enhancements for teaching practices and professional development.
So this is primarily outside of Monroe schools. They're going to go to Rutgers, is that for training?
No, Rutgers actually comes to us and provide the training, and we have a collaboration with a few other districts, including some non-public districts who are, the impact grant represents several school districts. The 53 is our portion of it, and this is the on-site place for that training.
So the students are not directly affected. The teachers will be trained through this grant?
Precisely.
Okay. And how about for the other grant acceptance for $20,801?
Which letter?
M.
It's, well, okay, I have L, I don't know. I downloaded this from the website.
19L.
It's L.
It's L?
If you're referring to item L,
Yes.
that's a grant through, which we applied for previous years. It goes through New Jersey School Boards Association Group. It's called the Safety Grant. It's designed to help increase the safety and security of the district's facilities. And we were awarded $20,801, which I believe is intended for the purpose of a card identification swipe device at one of the schools.
Is there any requirement for matching grant money?
No.
And how about the other one?
No.
Any requirement for that?
No.
Okay, and if it's not used, does it get returned at the end of the year? Any of the funds? When you get a grant, you either can keep it or you have to
No,
send it back.
we're going to spend it, but
Okay.
generally,
Somehow I knew the answer to that question. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Tom Notstein, 15 Nathaniel Street. With regard to page 13, under V as in Victor Board Action, number H, could you just elaborate a little on what that sidebar agreement is between the Monroe Township Board of Ed and the MTEA?
Letter H. Which one is that?
Page 13, maybe?
Yeah, it's 13.
Two sidebar agreements were part of a negotiation. The sidebars generally represent agreements that were made after the previous contract was settled. So the one represents an agreement for the extended school year, staff that works in that program. It involves adjusting the work calendar for some of those folks who will be working beyond their normal contractual day. And the other part of it speaks specifically to secretaries who would be a part of that work day, people who may be employed as secretaries during the summer, but are not necessarily secretaries, and their rate of compensation is determined by that sidebar. So this will be infused into the formal agreement.
Thank you. Also, I noticed that on your closed session resolution, there's a ton of students. It looks like something's going on.
Yes.
And I'm well aware you cannot elaborate on a per-student basis, but could somebody please give me a little overview of what's going on? Is this something to do with this bullying and intimidation?
We have, as a result of the new anti-bullying legislation, our district, all districts for that matter, are required to conduct investigations on any allegation that is deemed to be a harassment or intimidation or bullying matter. Often these referrals generate from normal behavior that is associated with kids, but if a parent or a student suggests that they have been bullied, it warrants an investigation, and we are required to report that out publicly and advise the board of those investigations.
So every one of these individuals will be an investigation?
They have
per se?
already been invested. Those, as they are reported on the agenda, the investigations have been complete.
Okay, so it's incumbent upon the board at that point to what?
The board will either accept or reject my report, which will be reviewed in closed session today, and then the matter is concluded. If they do not, then we have to revisit that, and that means reopening the investigation and notifying the parents that the investigation is resuming.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Leary, do you have a?
If you recall, approximately 3 months ago, when this abomination came on the scene, I publicly denounced Senator Barbara Bono, the author of it. It is absolutely incredibly bad.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Good evening, Chrissy Skirby, 8 Seminole Court. Under board action, item number G, I guess going with the anti-bullying, it's recommended to have an on-site workshop for, I guess, is that for parents?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that for the entire district?
Yes, ma'am.
Where will that be held? Is that going to be?
I believe it's Oak Tree, actually.
Oh.
It's on our website. We're almost positive it was Oak Tree. There was a problem with the date initially, but I think it was ultimately settled to be held at Oak Tree. But check the website. There's a banner on the website, and it's posted there.
Okay. Will flyers go home to for the children? Is there a sign up or?
We're doing, anybody can come. We're prepared to accommodate up to 600 people, and we will be using Alert Now.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing no one, we will go to the approval of the minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting of August 17th, 2011. Moved by Mr. Kaufman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Chiarella. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? None. Closed session meeting of August 17th, 2011. A motion? So moved by Mr. Tesler and second by Ms. Antalis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Abstained by Ms. Antalis. You're abstaining? Mr. Kaufman also. The approval of the minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting of September 7, 2011.
I'll move that.
Mr. Klein, and second by Mr. Masters. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Chiarella abstains. The approval of the closed session meeting of September 7, 2011.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Klein and second by Mr. Tesler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Kaufman? The Public Board of Education meeting of September 21st, 2011, with the following corrections. The meeting was called to order by the Board Vice President, Ken Chiarella, and after the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call, the Board Vice President, Ken Chiarella, read the following statement. That is in the minutes. So with those corrections, is there a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion. Oh.
Mr. Chiarella and Ms. Antalis? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ms. Antalis?
I abstain.
Mr. Klein and myself? Yes?
First, do you think we show that on the closed session September 7th? I'm going to abstain from that.
The closed session on
So
September.
noted.
Okay. And the closed session meeting of September 21st, 2011. Motion and a second?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Masters, second by Ms. Antalis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I have to abstain to that one. I
Mr.
abstained to the wrong one before, but. Sorry.
And I
Mr.
abstain.
Chiarella, Ms. Antalis, Mr. Klein, myself, Mr. Kaufman. Mr. Chiarella, did you want to put your name on one and take one off something else?
Yeah, the September 7th. I was there for that one, so that's a yes from me. Thank you. An aye or whatever.
You weren't there.
Okay. The Public Board of Education meeting for October 12th and the closed session meeting, they will be approved at the December meeting because we do not have a copy of the minutes. So at this time, we will go to the superintendent's report, with Dr. Hamilton.
Okay, just to give the board and public an update, we've been lobbying with the state to solicit some response to our inquiry regarding revisiting the state school funding formula. We did hear back from the state, and essentially what their response said to us was that there's a mathematical calculation that's used to determine the wealth of the community, and the state aid is based on the income of that wealth. There's an assumption that the income is consistent with the value of a home in establishing how the state determines the amount of state aid. I have written a response to the governor and explained to him that with a community where 60% of our residents live in age-restricted communities, the formula that is used represents a skewed representation of our community, and I have asked the governor to consider revisiting the school funding formula and to certainly keep Monroe on the radar. It is my understanding that there is going to be some reconsideration made to the school funding formula, and hopefully those changes will be in effect even by this next funding cycle. I've also asked the governor to write an executive order that would allow us to provide for a mechanism that would hopefully resolve the Jamesburg tuition matter at the local level. So that's just an update on my correspondence with the governor and our follow-up regarding our quest to get additional or equitable state aid. Moving on to the superintendent's report, I do call your attention specifically to the enrollment data, and it's important that we pay attention to these enrollment trends because, as you can see, we have 211 more students in our district this month in comparison to where we were the same time last year. And those numbers are continuing to represent that folks are still finding Monroe an attractive place to buy their homes and live. And we anticipate a steady increase, particularly in the Monroe Manor section of town, as new homes are still being built there. If you will go on to the out-of-district enrollment report that's listed there for your information, along with the home instruction, you will notice that the home instruction list is also substantially shorter than it usually is this time of year. I'm not really sure what that anomaly represents, but that's a good thing. The fire drills and lockdown drills, as you know, lockdown drills are required now, and that's listed for your information. Moving on to the personnel report, Madam Board President and members of the Board of Education, it is recommended by the superintendent that personnel items A through W, noting a correction on item H. It should be changed from November 28th to November 16th. It is recommended that these items be approved by roll call vote.
So moved.
Second.
That was moved by Mr. Chiarella and Mr. Kaufman. Are there any comments or questions for Dr. Hamilton? Mr. Chiarella?
When you look at the enrollment data for Mill Lake and Barkley Brook and Brookside, which we can see that we're having decreases. Will there be, do you think that we're going to need at some point to redistrict in that area?
I don't think so, because that's not where we're seeing the influx. The drop in those schools, as you know, is a result of the sixth graders moving out. Those numbers are not increasing in the same way, nowhere near the same rate as the Oak Tree community.
Okay, any other questions? We have our roll call, Mr. Gorski.
Ms. Antelis? Yes. Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman? Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, item personnel A through W passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to board action items, Madam Board President, members of the Board of Education, it is recommended by the superintendent that board action items A through P, which also encompasses an addendum for the 2 job descriptions discussed at the Personnel Committee meeting, be approved by roll call vote.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Chiarella.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tesler. Any comments or questions?
On board action?
Board
Yes,
action
sir.
items?
Okay, when we get to N, and I was in the office today and had many questions that were answered by Mike and by Dr. Hamilton. I want the people in the audience, the families, to understand N, where we have to purchase a new textbook. And the note that we got through the assistant principal is that we are mandated to change textbooks every 5 years by the state, which I think is pathetic. And there'll be more discussion later on in the meeting. But they don't give us our fair share of money anywhere near it, yet they mandate expenses. And that's, unfortunately, we're forced to.
Mr. Braverman?
I think that's untrue. I think the law is actually to review the textbooks every 5 years. And if you need them, then replace them. And it's been my position for the past year or so that instead of replacing the textbooks, we ought to be supplementing them, and it would be a lot less expensive.
Okay, thank you.
Now, is that the case?
Mr.
Is 5 years just a review, or is 5 years that we have to replace it?
What the code says actually is that we have to review and update. And generally, with the review comes a change in the curriculum because things change from over a 5-year period, and standards change. So they generally work simultaneously, they work hand in hand.
Okay.
Anyone else? Roll call, Mr. Gorski?
Ms. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes on everything, no on N.
No on N as in Nancy?
Yes.
So noted. Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Mrs. Kolpanowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through P passes.
Thank you.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay, then we will go on to the business administrator's report with Mr. Gorski.
Madam Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through R be approved by consent roll call.
So moved.
Second.
By Mr. Chiarella, second by Mr. Kaufman. Any comments or questions for Mr. Gorski? Seeing none, we will have a roll call.
Ms. Antelis? Yes. Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes, but I'm going to recuse on Q.
So noted. Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Mrs. Kolpanowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through R passes.
Okay, thank you very much. And that concludes your report.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we will go on to the board president's report, and I do have a couple of things. The first is that I know that I've had some comments made to me recently, and I'm sure other board members have too, in regard to some misinformation that's been in the newspapers recently in regard to the cost of building the new high school. And when people see things in the newspaper, they usually believe what they read. And so I would like to clarify some of the facts. In September of 2002, the district had a referendum to build a new high school on Applegarth Road. That referendum was for $97,973,150. That was defeated. We had a second referendum in December of 2003, which was passed. That referendum was for $67,006. If only.
Wish it was.
Yeah, sorry. $67,699,292, and that was a successful referendum. In conjunction with that bond referendum, the district was awarded from the state of New Jersey a Section 15 grant in the amount of $15,244,658, and that was in addition to the $67 million. On December 11th, 2007, after a 4-year battle to get the land, we had an additional referendum for costs for $41,900,000, and that was also successful. So the total cost for the high school was $109,599,292 plus the Section 15 grant for a grand total of $124,843,950. And that was the cost to build this new high school, $124,843,950. So I just wanted to clarify the facts. I also want to let you know that there is no swimming pool in this building, there is no spa in this building, there is no sauna in this building. So that's for that. And then on a fun note, oh, did you have a?
I was going to say, I move that we start planning for them.
Maybe in the next
As a gross
referendum.
example, carry behavior.
Then on a sort of a fun note, some of you may know, I'm sure most of you don't, I am a very avid New Jersey Devils hockey fan. And last week I attended a game where the New Jersey Devils recognized 180 of the New Jersey high school, both public school and private school, ice hockey captains. And they were acknowledged by having their names in the schools listed on the Jumbotron, and they were all invited to stand on the ice during intermission. And it was really exciting to see Monroe represented, because I am a very, very big hockey fan. I know these kids. And I just wanted to acknowledge Captain, or our ice hockey team captain, Edward Stulak, and the assistant captain, Brandon Cacavalli. And one of the nice things is when I leave the stadium, every time I go to a game, and I attend most of the 41 games that they have at home during the year, the last thing I see when I leave is a Monroe Township hockey jersey, because the Devils have hockey jerseys from all the different high schools in New Jersey, and as you're going down the escalator to leave, there's the Monroe one. So I just happen to think that's pretty cool. So now we will go on to committee reports. Is there any member of the board who has a report that they would like to share? Mr. Yes, Mr.
I'm over here.
Okay. Mr. Chiarella.
Thank you for remembering who I am, Kathy.
Takes a while.
We had a Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation Committee meeting yesterday, and we had a pretty large agenda. But the first thing I wanted to mention, and I wanted to thank the Environmental Action Club, because they ran a fundraiser at the Green Fair last month, and they raised $500 for new benches. And I think that I think that was pretty great. And they donated that to the board so that we could get those benches for the school. So I just wanted to thank them for that and for their efforts. We also looked at solar power. We're still looking at some of the solar projects to get solar power at the schools. What we're looking at now is an option that would be relatively free of cost, meaning that we won't have to buy solar panels or install them and pay for the upkeep. That a company called CME Associates would handle that, and then we would purchase power at a reduced rate from them. But we're still in the very early stages of looking at that. So there's nothing that I could report as far as dollars. They couldn't even tell us what their costs would be, and so we're still working on that. So hopefully at our next meeting I'll have more information. We had some public transportation requests, and the committee decided to make a tough decision and make sure that any any for-profit businesses that are requesting services from our board, that we look at those and that we apply a fee for those services. So, for instance, busing is one of those services, busing to for-profit businesses. We looked at that, and what we're going to do going forward is make sure that all businesses that have any requests for transportation or any of that stuff, that we're willing to work with them, but we need to work with them for the cost that it costs the taxpayers in order to fund those things. The other thing is we talked about the renovations here needed at the museum that's in this school. It's going to be converted to a much-needed journalism classroom, and some of the upgrades that are needed in order to do that are electrical, lighting, and airflow work. And so I think we just talked about that a little while ago. We also discussed Applegarth and the renovations going on there. We're going to have another Buildings and Grounds and Transportation Committee meeting in a week or two in order to discuss that further and to look at all of our options and figure out exactly where we are and what we have to do. We already talked about the snow removal bids, and again, we had several applications to bid, but then only one company decided to bid, And so that's where we're at with that. And then that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Tesler?
I'm sorry. Microphone on.
Thank you very much. On Monday, we had a Personnel Committee meeting. We discussed the following topics. Topic 1, we reviewed some job descriptions. The committee reviewed new job descriptions for the benefits coordinator and the use of buildings adult ed liaison. These are not new positions, but revisions to reflect the current staffing. The committee also reviewed job descriptions for having staff available to supervise each evening event in the Performing Arts Center after hours and on the weekends. This will include staffing for outside groups who use our Performing Arts Center at Monroe Township High School and Monroe Township Middle School. Outside groups will be expected to bear the cost for the staffing. Number 2, band director. The committee discussed a recommendation from the administration to add a stipend for the assistant middle school and director consistent with the structure already in place at the high school. Number 3, we reviewed the health benefits law implementation. The business administrator gave a committee update on the district's status and readiness to implement the new laws regarding employee contributions to health benefits, and we are on target and ready to meet the requirements of those new laws. Number 4, transportation. We're also giving an update on the transportation department and the status of the transition with a new director. Everything's going well there. And lastly, we also discussed a few more personal matters, which will be shared on our when the committee notes are available with the board packet coming this Friday. Thank you.
Kathy?
Mr. Klein?
We had our first discipline committee meeting yesterday with Rob Goodall, the high school principal, and the assistant principals. We had 2 of the staff, and we had a psychologist, I believe. And I basically voiced what my concerns were. It was explained clearly. They do one hell of a job. They had a printout for me showing a graph of the problems. So we saw, as if we didn't know, where the main problems were, whether it be cutting class, abusing staff or authority. That seemed to be lower than last year. What I did bring up, and that's brought about by that list that we have to go over in the closed session about bullying, unfortunately, the way the letter of the law is written is that if a student calls another student a name, even if it's only once, it's bullying, which I think is asinine. What we have to do in the policy committee is write a policy that breaks down the severity of these infractions. Because if you have a kid he had a fight with a kid and he called him a name and he took offense to it, that's not bullying. Bullying to me is constant harassment, getting other children involved. That's my opinion. So I think we have to do something with policy there also. And the other thing that we also discussed was changing when the prom can be held. And we'll go over that in a policy meeting. But otherwise, it went very well. I believe we plan to hold a meeting about every 3 months. And I think based on the facts that we see so far this year, a lot of the infractions should be eliminated, or at least brought down immensely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Anyone else? Mr. Leary?
Yes, in my capacity as chair of the negotiating committee, I have sidebar agreement quotations that it is recommended that the Monroe Township Board of Education and these
Mr. Leary?
supplement H, right?
After closed session.
Okay, fine. Start.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes, there was a curriculum meeting this evening. We went over some of the student test data analysis, as well as Bonnie Burke gave us a great presentation of the new K-5 science program material. So again, thank you, Bonnie, for all that material that was presented this evening. Additionally, we went over the Rosetta Stone implementation for Spanish in the elementary schools, and it's going along nicely, and we're looking at how we can embellish the program and possibly leverage how we're going to be manipulating the site licenses to get more students engaged, and possibly looking at next year to expand the site licensing program. Let's see, what else did we do? And we spoke a little bit about technology and the presentations that we were going to be given this evening. So it was a very good meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other committee reports? If not, number 16, is there any other business from any member of the Board of Education? Mr. Klein?
I thought I would not bring this up again, but finally, I received a response from the state Supreme Court. And I wrote 2 letters basically asking them, when they were rehearing the governor's cuts to education and how they were going to settle it, was when the letter was written. Had nothing to do with the Abbott decision. It was that what's fair is give us back our money and the suburban schools. Well, the letter I get back is from a staff attorney, not from one of the injustices, and basically says in order to overturn the Abbott decision, it's a long legal process and all that. In other words, it went right over his head. But now I have somebody to contact. The other thing that I find very, very discouraging, which came up at our meeting this week, is the fact that we have major work that has to be done in Applegarth. Along with what's being done, we need a furnace. Now, when I read in the paper, schools like Edison, Woodbridge, receive state grants for furnaces, new roofs, and I've always attacked Mike about it. Why can't we get state grants for this? And the answer is, which you heard earlier, is that, what is it, per house, value of the house versus students, we're a wealthy area. But then when I look at East Brunswick, which is wealthier than we are, and they're getting a hell of a lot more, it's baloney. It's the formula is baloney. Whatever excuse they want to give you is baloney, and I don't know what we have to do to get our fair share, but it is now getting to a point where it is going to affect us big time, because we could no longer go back to our taxpayers with 21-cent increases every year. Thank you.
Mr. Chiarella?
Yes, I have some, just quickly, and I'm sorry that I don't have the information to be able to give out an email address or something, but there are a couple members of different PTA groups and stuff that are putting together baskets for some of the people that were impacted by Hurricane Irene, and anyone wishing to donate, if they want to be put in contact with the people who are putting together the baskets, it's Hope Fisher and Patty Sabelico. I hope I said her name correctly.
Cheryl, if you give me that information, I'll send out an alert now.
Okay.
And so that folks will know who to contact. I think that's
Okay,
worth
excellent.
an alert now
Yeah, they could
message.
contact me and I'll put them in contact too, but thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, number 17, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21, to discuss the following subjects: personnel, MTEA contract; personnel, Teamsters contract; personnel, employee number 002416; student matters, harassment, intimidation, and bullying incidents, file number 29 through 72. Need a motion and a second?
Second.
Ms. Antelis, Mr. Leary, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Then at this time, we will be moving into closed session. At this time, the Board of Education will move back into public session. And Mr. Leary, I believe you have a motion on,
I have 2 motions.
okay.
May I have the microphone, please? Okay. It is recommended that the Monroe Township Board of Education, 1, waive the September 15, 2001 time requirement stated in paragraph 17 of the previously submitted proposed memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and the Monroe Township Education Association, otherwise known as MTEA, for the period from July 1st, 2011 through June 30th, 2014. This is a memorandum of agreement, MOA. Because an agreement regarding the subject matter of the aforementioned paragraph 17 was achieved subsequent to September 15th, 2001 to the satisfaction of the Board of Education. 2, waive paragraph 19 of the MOA as the MTEA and the Board of Education have agreed that Article 6 sidebar supersedes the sidebar agreement between the Board of Education and the MTEA regarding the extended school year referenced therein. And 3, approve the MOA retroactively to July 1st, 2011. The board president and the business administrator, business board secretary, as the attesting witness, are hereby authorized and directed to sign the sidebar agreements and to sign a collective negotiation agreement incorporating the terms of the MOA. Additionally, the business administrator, board secretary, is hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary steps to implement this action of the Board of Education dated November the 16th, 2011.
Is there a second to that motion? Mr. Chiarella?
Yes, I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any comments or questions from the Board of Education? Mr. Klein?
Oh, you'll hear me. I would like to address this to the leadership of the MTEA. We all know what the economics are in the country. And I also know how close other teachers' associations work with the board and cooperate with the board. There are some things that I had something here prepared, but unfortunately, a lot of it I can't discuss. But I would like to know why, when we were awarded that, what is it, the New Jersey EE4, I have it written down here somewhere.
EE4NJ.
EE4NJ grant, that the union leaders made us think about it because they weren't involved and could have cost us that grant. We're supposed to be on the same team as they do in other schools and other school districts, where the unions work closely with the school board. I think that you can smile all you want, ladies, but it's fact. I do want to compliment you on whatever help you did for the flood victims. I understand that your union did do help, but I also know that the other union did absolutely nothing for us and gave a lot of money to Passaic, to their flood people. I'm trying to paraphrase what I have here. You know what my standing is as far as funding, getting proper funding. I ask why the MTEA did nothing to help us obtain more money from the state. We know how powerful the teachers' union is with the Democrats in Trenton. It's widely known. It would have been nice if the leadership of MTEA would have at least attempted to help us, going to your parent union, helping us to get our fair share. We can't keep going back to our residents to pay for the shortfalls of the money we do not receive from the state. We can't hit them for $1,000 again like this last time. We have great teachers. I would never take anything away from our teachers, their commitment and what they've accomplished. All I ask as a member of the Board of Ed is help. We're not getting it from the state. We're not getting it from the Supreme Court. I would have thought in these past 2.5 years, since I'm on the board,
that we would have had help from our union, and we had nothing, just silence. I find it very difficult. I'm not going to go through all this because I can see the reaction I'm getting. But I myself find it very difficult, though the teachers deserve a raise. I'm not against that. But I cannot bring myself to vote for it based on the leadership not doing anything to help our students, our taxpayers, and this board. When we're elected to this position, we are sworn to do the best we can for the children, but also protect our residents as far as the taxes they pay. And all I ask for the future is that perhaps you'll work with us to attempt to help us get more of our fair share. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then we will have a roll call, Mr. Gorski.
The roll call will be for the motion on the floor, which reads as follows. It is recommended that the Monroe Township Board of Education, 1, waive the September 15th, 2011 time requirement stated at paragraph 17 of the previously submitted proposed memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and the Monroe Township Education Association, MTEA, for the period from July 1st, 2011 through June 30, 2014. MOA, because an agreement regarding the subject matter of the aforementioned paragraph 17 was achieved subsequent to September 15th, 2011 to the satisfaction of the Board of Education. 2, approve the previously submitted sidebar agreement.
Skip to 3.
Beg your pardon. 3, waive paragraph 9 of the memorandum of agreement as the MTEA and Board of Education have agreed that Article 6 sidebar supersedes the sidebar agreement between the Board of Education and the MTEA regarding the extended school year referenced therein. And 4, approve the memorandum of agreement retroactively to July 1st, 2011. The Board President and Business Administrator, as the attesting witness, are hereby authorized to direct and sign the sidebar agreement and to sign a collective negotiations agreement incorporating the terms of the memorandum of agreement. Additionally, the Business Administrator Board Secretary is hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary steps to implement the action of the Board of Education. Ms. Antelis.
Recuse myself.
So noted. Mr. Braverman.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman.
Recuse.
Mr. Klein.
No.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Mr. Masters.
Yes.
Mr. Tesler.
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes.
It's stuck down there. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I'd just like to say a few words.
Teamsters.
I want to say a few words in regard. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
In regard to negotiations with the MTEA. And I think I've been on the board 13 years, and I've been involved in every single negotiations that has ever occurred in this district. And when I retire in a couple of years, I'm going into the negotiations business. It's never easy, but there's give and take on both sides. And I think the bottom line is always what's best for children. And I think that the agreement we reached has done that for the MTEA and the Board of Education, that our agreement is what's best for children. I need to say, too, that the MTEA was without an agreement all summer, and they worked really hard to make sure that their opening of school occurred without a problem. We moved into the new high school. We moved our schools around. We moved our classes around. We moved our grades around, and they were there helping, and there was a seamless start to the school year. So I have to commend them. And both the MTEA negotiating team and the Board of Education negotiating team, I'd just like to thank you for all the time and the hard work that you put into getting this contract accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Leary?
Yes. This is with regard to the Teamsters Union. It is recommended that the Monroe Township Board of Education approve the previously submitted proposed memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and Local 11 affiliated with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters for the period of July 1, 2011 through June 30th, 2015. And it's identified as an MOA, retroactively to July 1st, 2011. The board president and the board administrator, board secretary, as the attesting witnesses, are hereby authorized and directed to sign a collective negotiations agreement incorporating the terms of the MOA. Additionally, the business administrator, board secretary, is hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary steps to implement this action of the Board of Education.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
And this was dated November 16th, 2011.
Then we will have a roll call.
Ms. Antelis?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman? Yes. Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Tesler?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. All right, there are no more motions on the floor, John?
No, that's it.
Okay. Then at this time, we will go back to our public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Bob Miglani, 42 Equestrian Way. Two things. First, I'm appalled at the fact that this public forum has been pushed so far out that it really discourages parents from showing up. I mean, it's ridiculous. You made 7 o'clock, you show up, and then you push this public forum part out so much that you don't have time to speak. So I'm on the record. I'm very appalled, disappointed, and dissatisfied at the fact that we don't get a chance to speak early enough. And as working parents, what we try to do, we try to get here on time from our jobs. Number two, I want to talk to the issue of busing that Ken raised. So I need a clarification. Is the township going to charge for-profit enterprises as of when?
Township isn't, the Board of Education is.
Okay, Board of Ed, when?
That is, if you want to address that, Mr. Gorski.
As recommended by the Building Grounds Transportation Committee last night, I am going to instruct all parties currently receiving transportation services that their term will expire through June 30th, and subsequent to that, they will be provided a fee structure for their existing routes, and they could opt to pay or withdraw
Why June 30th? Why not now?
to afford the parents an accommodating time to make other arrangements.
But that's discrimination. You're supposed to be good stewards of my tax dollars. And what you're doing today is discriminating against my child who happens to go to another for-profit enterprise, which is not getting the current bus service.
Our board council has reviewed the matter and has determined that it is not in any way discriminatory and is in fact legal.
Is there a contract with the Remsterville, the for-profit enterprise in question?
No.
If there's no contract, why can't you say no to them and say you got to pay now?
Again, it's to accommodate the parents to make other
Yeah,
arrangements.
but you're accommodating one set of parents and not another set of parents. I think there's something funny going on here because, there seems to be a unwritten rule in a lot of things I'm hearing today for the first time. And bond, we have a relationship, we have this, we have that. There's no contract. And I'd like to see what contract there is. Is it open for public view?
I already expressed there is no contract.
There's no. So then why can't you get rid of them?
We could, but it would disserve the parents.
Yeah, but then it
without
just serves
notice.
me because my child goes to another for-profit enterprise.
These children are already in this program. They've already been bused. To rip the rug out from underneath these children and these parents. all
What
of a
about
sudden,
what about
is your
mine?
child being
Okay.
bused by these children?
No. But that has nothing to do with it. The point is, my tax dollars, right, that I'm trying to survive in this economy, I'm working very hard to do, funds, excuse me. Well, yeah,
Excuse me.
Hold on a second.
Excuse me. I'd just like to say, we have been accommodating Rumsterville That's the only one that we have been working with for the past 10 years. And the Board of Education, the Buildings and Grounds Committee
Yes.
have been meeting. We've been discussing this situation, and it has agreed that at the end of this school year, that we will be terminating their services for non-fee. That if they want to continue, they
Yes.
will have to pay a fee.
Right, so-
We needed to give them the time
Yes.
to make sure that they have been doing this for 10 years, that the parents have enough time to make other plans for next year. We have also decided that at this time, it would not be prudent to start any other transportation services to other places for any profit right now. We're just leaving it alone until the end of June.
Right, so, two things. One, does any of the Board of Education have a financial relationship with Remsterville?
Not that I know of.
So then what's the deal? Why can't,
This is
so number
This is
two,
the decision that was made by the
yeah, but
committee.
it's my tax money. How much is it subsidizing it? How much is the subsidy that's currently going to Remsterville in the value of the busing service that is going to Remsterville from the schools in Monroe Township?
Sir, as Madam Board President explained, the agreement goes back.
There's no
longer than
agreement,
10
right?
years, excuse me, and has evolved over the years. It wasn't to the
Evolved,
magnitude
right.
that it was
I
at
get
that
it.
time.
Right.
This is a Board of Education, it's not a public transportation authority.
Then you should discontinue that service today.
We will discontinue it at June 30 again to provide an accommodation to parents to make other arrangements.
I am very dissatisfied about this issue, and I feel that this is a ripoff of my tax dollars. This is a complete ripoff because it's this, and you're killing me here. With the taxes are so high, and you guys are spending money, and everybody's getting raises. I don't understand. I just don't understand why this cannot be ended today. Because if you can charge them, why can't you charge them now? They're a for-profit enterprise. You're continuing to subsidize. Let me just be very clear. You're continuing to subsidize a for-profit enterprise until June 30th of next year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the how do I make a opposition to this? What do I do?
You're talking to us right now.
Right,
We-
so
we
what are the
appreciate your
actions you're gonna
comments,
take?
and we will take what you were saying under consideration.
I mean, I'm really appalled at this. You have something to say? Yeah. I mean, somebody's reading. I'm really appalled at this. I don't know what else
Do you
to do.
wish to speak? No.
I'm sorry, but she's running the meeting.
Go ahead, run the meeting. I'm just a taxpayer asking about where my tax dollars are going. God forbid.
You know, he's right. The man is right. You're now going to we're subsidizing this for-profit organization until June 30th, and then we're going to make a decision?
No, we've already made
Let me understand that. You're giving these people until June 30th, the ones that are currently riding, you're giving them until June 30th to find some other accommodation.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's what the
Well,
building.
then he's right. And that was a lousy outcome for this committee. It was ridiculous. It's very one-sided. He is paying taxes.
So are we.
Just like the others. And for years, that before and after, are you talking about before and after school?
No,
What are you talking
no.
about?
Transportation.
Do you want to explain this? We're not
Yeah,
talking.
this is not before and after school care, Basque. This is transportation services, whereas a day camp requested that the district deliver students to the day camp at
I
the expense
understand
of
that.
the Board of Education.
I understand that. I'm beyond that. Who are we transporting and to where?
Students of the district to the for-profit camp, before and after school.
Does that really seem right, or just seems like a way out? I mean, either we transport everybody or come up with a policy
About
that.
the history of this, just a little bit of history of this.
Ms. Antelis?
What happened was,
Here, sure.
okay, this Board of Education has always tried to accommodate parents. So if a parent came to us and said, you know what, I work, instead of dropping the child off at my house, can you drop him off at the people on the other side or somewhere close? The district said, as long as it's 5 days a week, that child is always on that bus, then we will do it. It really was the same deal with Remsterville. It was a group of children from Barclay Brook School who were going there, and that's how this all started. It was one group of kids from one school. They were being transported 5 days a week to Remsterville, always going in the same place. So therefore, really, we weren't subsidizing it. We had to transport those children anyway. Now, what's happening is everybody from all over the district, I would send my child there, send my child there. So now we've come to a point where we said we're not a transportation service. And if this is the case where you want us to pick children from all over the district, and that includes Remsterville, then what we're going to have to do is now charge, because we're going above and beyond the service.
That's fair.
And I do, the committee discussed, Marv, I'm sorry, but, parents do work. They got to make accommodations to all of a sudden say to them, hey, listen, by next week, get your kid out. We're doing something
But what
else.
about me?
Well, but
What about
we're
my
not
accommodation?
transporting your child already.
I understand that.
That's fine,
okay,
Amy, it's
this is
fine.
public forum,
Let's
and-
accommodate
and-
him and charge him as we charge the others. Let's
We're
be
not
fair
charging
about it.
anybody right now.
I'm sorry?
We're not
Talking about
charging
the
anybody right
for-profit
now.
institution, right?
So this is public
Well,
forum,
then we should
and
start charging the people that we're not charging.
we are
and
going
give him
to.
the same
Mr. Braverman,
opportunity.
that's the conversation. We are going to do that
When?
as of June 30th.
Well, that's wrong.
Well, that's what the committee
10 months,
decided.
he's
And-
gonna be-
And the 3 minutes are
paying
up
for them?
for
Madam
Mis-
Chair,
Mr. Leary.
we should enforce Robert's Rules of Order. You control it, and all this back and forth
I
is
know.
not parliamentary.
I know, thank you. And your time is up. Thank you.
I just want to say, I think this is really appalling, and it encourages me to gather other parents to come and participate as much as I can, and I plan on doing so. And I want to just, be very clear. I ask for nothing special, okay? I want transparency and fairness. And I think those two things are not being done in this decision. So I just want to put on the record that I oppose the committee's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, I didn't even stand up here yet. My name is Barry Wasserman, 30 Spruce Meadows Drive, live in town, and I own Eagle River Day Camp, which is one of the facilities that are for-profit that are in question tonight, where I'd like to ask how many facilities in total do receive transportation services from the Board of Education that are for-profit for before and after care from the schools?
To the best of my knowledge, it's Rumsterville, one.
Just one? So because I realize that the Board of Education offered us transportation at a cost. We have, for our students to be bused from Barclay Brook, we received an offer to do it for the school year for over $40,000. So knowing that it's a depressed economy when there are no funds, why would you continue to do it for free for a larger facility? Why not charge everybody? I don't understand when you could be making $100,000 for your budget and for expenses. Why is that now given out to the parents of Remsterville? As an accommodation for the parents, yet the accommodation for the parents from Barclay Brook who are bused, in addition to Mr. Miglani, who come to Eagle River, don't receive free transportation. So it's not an accommodation for Barclay Brook parents because it's not equal for everybody. So as a government entity, your decision should be equal for everybody. And why a loss of opportunity for revenue on the Board of Education? Why do our tax dollars have to come instead of collecting $100,000 and saving us money and not having to raise our taxes? So what I would like to say is that the board should immediately, end of this year, December 30th, I understand it can't start next week, you should be charging, it's the business's responsibility to deal with it and how they're going to deal with those parents, whether they pass it on or they absorb it. But it's not necessarily passed on to the parents. And you can't expect that a business is going to do that. So I would say, take the money into the town and let the Board of Ed use it instead of giving it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, we're under public forum. Mr. Klein, go ahead. If you can keep it short.
Short and sweet.
Please.
Okay. Though I was not on the board or on that committee, and I heard the discussion, but I wasn't allowed to speak, my suggestion was, after the fact, that the present agreement that we have should run out the end of January. I originally said January 1st. Give it until the end of January. Stop it. Even though we understand that it's supposedly grandfathered, but there's no contract, then holding it until June, I think, is ridiculous. I think if we set a date of January 1st or January 31st, where the parents will have to pay for that school as his daycare. Now, you're making a profit. You also have a day camp. Who pays for the transportation for your day camp? We do. Thank you very much. And that's exactly what should go on now. It's either the daycare is to pay for it, or the parents have to pay for it. And when the other gentleman brought up the bit about his taxes, look at all the people that live in this town, and we won't even talk about the seniors. Let's just talk about the parents that are not involved in the after-school, and they have to pay for it. It's getting to a point where we cut programs because we had to. We had to cut $1 million ordered by the council. We cut one program. We delayed a curriculum item, and we started to charge for pay-to-play, which is being done in many, many districts. And the parents complained, so we had to absorb the extra money that we got from the state that would have helped us in paying for the teachers and paying for these other things. We had to go bring back zero-period busing, which a lot of the schools have cut out. We put in the science program, and we had to do away with pay-to-play.
Okay, Mr. Klein, does that have to do with this question? Because
In this
we are
case,
we are in
parents are going to
public-
have to start paying. The other residents cannot afford to pay it.
Okay, thank you.
And I would change, what's it, Rusterville? Rumsterville. I would let them know that as of January, come up with a date, the deal is off, and they're going to have to pay, what was it?
Well, I believe the
200
committee
some odd
already
dollars?
made a decision, so we'll continue with the public forum. Anyone else would like to speak?
Oh, this is going to be juicy. Good. I like this.
Hi, Karen Castaldo, Monroe Township Education President. I know I'm very tired, and I want to say, Kathy, thank you very much for your kind words, and back to you, and on behalf of the board, thank you very much. Mr. Klein, I offer you a meeting with some of our representatives to discuss some of the things that you had publicly stated. I choose not to go back and forth publicly, but you're always welcome to come to the office, or we'll meet over a cup of coffee.
That will be my pleasure.
And I would be more than happy to meet with you and some
Absolutely.
of our committee members to address some of your
That would
concerns.
be my pleasure.
I've worked with many of you through the years. Amy, across the table, John, we know this negotiations was probably one of the most difficult ones.
13 hours
Marvin,
that last day.
yeah, Ken, you're a rookie. Lou, I thank each and every one of you. Ira, for all your support. Lou, as well, getting to know you. We all have the best interest in mind, which is our children. And I think our staff behind me and many who could not have attended tonight do one heck of a job. And they work hard day in and day out, and they are more than professional. So I want to personally thank each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Atta girl.
Erwin Keshner. On the lighter side of things,
Can you hold on? Thanks, Karen.
Press the flesh.
Anytime you're ready.
Thank you.
on the lighter side of things, Erwin Keshner, the 376 Daisy Court, Monroe Township.
And Joe Plotnick, 17 Afton Boulevard, Monroe Township.
We would like to bring to the township school system model airplanes, radio control airplanes, to show the students how things fly, aeronautics, engineering. Won't cost anything. That's free. And we will give, we have computers where we give demonstrations, and we'd like to possibly fly inside the gymnasium, planes of 4 ounces. And we would appreciate your help in doing this, and I've spoken to the principal, and I spoke to Mr. Klein, and Steve Galena, and John Riggs, and everybody else.
Yeah, and just to add, we belong to a local club, which comes under the auspices of an organization called AMA. We have educational programs that we can actually perform for the children, and it would definitely impact a lot of the curriculum that is being offered right now, such as aerospace, physics, and what have you. And these are programs that are in place, and we'd like to propose to do that within Monroe Township in the gym.
Oh, sure.
Yes. Would you be kind enough to make sure Dr. Gorman has your information? We'd like to review what the presentation would entail and make the connections to curriculum, and it sounds like it's something we'd definitely like to pursue.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Anne
it.
Marie saw one of my airplanes. I was in your office. It's 4 ounces.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
Good evening, Tom Notestein, 15 Nathaniel Street. I just had a question for the board. Is that a lawyer that I see on my right here next to Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Okay, that's being paid for by us? So we obviously knew that there was going to be a vote tonight on the teacher's contract. Is that-
Yes.
Okay, why, once again, you can pull the records from last year, I went through the same thing, and you did it again. Why wasn't this on the agenda? The teachers certainly knew about it. Why do you continually disgrace the public by not making things public? Please answer that question. 2 years in a row, second year.
The items in question were on the closed session agendas from previous meetings, and as such, there are deliberative processes that would be assumed to have a resolution.
Was this lawyer here the last time this was on that closed session agenda? The answer is no. So you knew that you were going to vote on tonight, and that's why she was here, and you chose to deliberately not put it on the agenda so the public, other than the teachers' union, wouldn't be here. Is that an accurate assessment?
We have not had the MTEA contract on the agenda before, at all.
Okay, what did you vote on tonight? Because there certainly was no
It's on the
discussion.
agenda under closed session.
That's right, but it didn't say you were going to vote on it, but yet the lawyer's here.
No, but it always says under closed session that when there's a resolution, the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the matter has been
I'm well aware of
resolved.
that. Mr.
Well-
Leary started to read it before you went into closed session, and you stopped him.
Yes, I did.
The lawyer was here. You knew, now please, I expect an honest answer. Did you or did you not know that you were going to vote on this?
Yes, we did.
So why wasn't it on
But
the
there's
agenda?
there's always the consideration when you go into closed
That you may
session
not.
that we don't vote on
I get that,
something.
but how about we put that on the agenda anyway? Let's err on the side of the public.
It is on the agenda.
Where, okay, mine doesn't
It's
say
on
there
the
will be a
agenda
vote tonight.
under
on-
closed session resolution.
But it
When
doesn't
we-
say there's going to be a vote.
It always
But you can't
says,
vote in closed
after
session.
closed session resolution, that,
There
and
may
I'll
be
read it
action.
again.
I know, I'm well aware that there may
Right.
be action. But then why wasn't the lawyer here every other time that was stated?
Because there was no MTEA contract on the agenda before this evening.
Mr. Gorski just said that there was.
No, there was not.
There was no memorandum of agreement. There was no memorandum of agreement until prior to tonight.
Outline the process.
So this is the first time it was ever on closed session that you were discussing
Yes.
this? So the first time you went in, you were in
Yes.
for less than an hour, it's settled?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty scary. What exactly did we vote and how much of a raise did they get?
Would you like to explain the situation, the process? Because we're not allowed to bring it to the board until the night of the vote.
Yeah, that's correct. And
Grab the mic, Mary.
So you knew it was going to be voted on? And Mr. Gorski's saying yes, but yet you didn't say at the bottom, there will be a vote tonight on this.
They're not, because it goes into closed session doesn't necessarily mean there is going to be a vote
I
tonight.
get
We
that.
assume there will be a vote,
Bingo.
but there's,
That's all I ask. If you assume there's going to be a vote and you're willing to pay a high-priced lawyer, excuse me, and I'm sure you are, because all lawyers are, if you're going to pay a high-priced lawyer to come here, you are pretty darn certain that there was going to be a vote tonight. Is that an accurate assessment?
it is an accurate assessment.
Right.
It's on the agenda, and I will have our lawyer explain the
It's
situation.
on the agenda, but it doesn't say there will be a
But
vote
there's-
tonight on it.
if
There's
I
always a
may.
chance. I get that. There's always a chance.
There is also another reason why the attorney is here, because they also were part of the negotiation process. They were hired to be the negotiators on behalf of the board. So when it's time to discuss the parameters of the negotiations, it's most appropriate for the chief negotiator to be present to outline the details and the specificity about the settlement.
Okay, well, I get that too. My contention is that all the teachers knew that there were going to be a vote tonight. The public did not. And that, you did the same thing last year, and you said you were going to look into it and not let it happen again.
The teachers
and here we
couldn't
go.
know there was going to be a vote tonight because until and unless the board, after closed session and discussions and analysis, there may or may not have been a vote.
But you
They
assumed there was
may
going to
have
be.
thought there might be a vote.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean there would have been a vote.
Nice
And
way
there have
out.
been many times, let me just say, that I have been here, gone into closed session for all sorts of different reasons for the board to receive attorney advice. When we come out, there isn't a vote.
Not in the last year you haven't been. Okay, 'cause the
Maybe
last-
I haven't, but maybe somebody else in
hasn't
my
been a
firm
lawyer
has
except for
been.
the last contract negotiations, okay? And that's what I'm
Right,
getting
well, I
at.
can't speak to that
As soon as
because-
I saw you here tonight, I knew there was going to be a vote on the contract, as did you. And I don't know why you try to do this every time you try to hide things, but I'm wasting my time. What was the raise they got? Could somebody please give some specifics? Because this was appalling, what you read, without any discussion. This board never discusses, and it's another insult to the public. So please, let me know what the heck you voted on, if you even know.
The contracts gives an increase, a percentage increase of 2% for 2011, 2012, 2% for 2012, 2013, and 2.5% in 2000.
2.25.
What did I say?
0.5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2.25 in 2013, 2014, no movement on the guide.
How about health care?
Healthcare, they are following the laws, and maybe Mr. Gorski is better at explaining that than I am.
Sure. Beg your pardon, I'm answering the gentleman's question. With regard to health care, there is a major consideration that the union members are entitled to opt out completely of health insurance. If they choose to do so from a family-based plan, which costs currently $22,442. They'll be paid $4,000 of additional compensation. A single participant would be paid $2,500 for a plan costing approximately $8,800. With a very conservative estimate of participants in this plan, which is half the amount that participated in an MTEA survey that said they wanted to opt out, the aggregate savings of this health insurance opt-out over the three-year contract is over $3.2 million. That alone negates any cost effect of the increases on the budget and actually results in a net savings over the three-year period.
So when you say opt-out, they opt out and then we pay them what we were going to pay their subsidy? Is that what you're saying?
No, when they completely opt out of health insurance and they're no longer covered and the district no longer has to pay the premiums, they're entitled to compensation of $4,000 for a family plan, $2,500 for a single plan.
Okay, so it's okay, I know what you're saying, okay. And has there been
There's
a
many other contractual terms, but those are the big ones.
Has there been a consensus or any idea of how many, you gave that $3.2 million number as an estimate. I guess there was some sort of polling done?
Yes.
And that's the number?
Yes, the poll had indicated approximately 126 members showed interest that they would opt out. We used 10%, which comes to about 75 members.
And out of that, those subsidies that you're going to give them for opting out, what percentage of that is that the actual cost that it would be costing the township if they were to not opt in? In other words, if the plan that you said was 22.4 and we're subsidizing 4,000, we're giving them that 4,000 anyway then. So where's the savings?
The district saves $18,000 by not having to.
Oh,
pay
I
the
got you. Okay,
insurance.
I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yes.
so, okay.
We have a small but precious savings for the school district overall, when you look at benefits and you look at salaries.
Also, you mentioned, that basically it sounds like it's, was it a 5-year contract?
3-year contract.
3-year contract, and it looks like it's roughly 6% over 3 years?
Now, 2 and 2.25%.
Okay, so a little over, okay, over 6%. Mr. Gorsuch, did you mention before that the unemployment rate in Monroe is over 11%?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you, in your good conscience, why are we giving a raise? Why could not we get a pay freeze for at least 1 or 2 years during an 11% unemployment rate?
I don't want to go into the specifics of the contract in too much detail for this forum, but I can tell you that this contract is the equivalent of a 3-year freeze when you consider the savings from the opt-out alone.
Okay, where will the details of this, now that it's actually, it's been voted upon, it has to be signed by the union, I guess, or has the union voted upon it yet?
The union has ratified it, and tonight the board has.
When will the details and where will we be able to see that? Will that be posted on the website or the government websites? When will it be, because there's a requirement for a certain government website to post the contracts?
Once it's executed, it's a public document.
And that would be after tonight, correct?
It will be sometime after tonight,
Well,
because I haven't signed it, it hasn't been
Okay.
signed yet.
Okay, sometime very shortly, because it's now an official document, correct?
It's not an official document.
Until you
it's-
sign it, I get it. Okay, thank you.
My name is Sina Cravette. I live at Mill Lake School and in East Brunswick. A couple of things. I'd like you to consider having your meetings, I forget what you call them, secluded meetings.
Closed session.
Closed sessions. In the beginning of at the beginning of the board meeting, giving the public a general idea of when the meeting would begin. It feels kind of rude when you all leave and we have to just sit here and wait for you. And I think if you could work out something better for the public, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, Mr. Klein.
Closed session right away.
Mr. Klein, I work many hours with the legislators of New Jersey, and I think you're really not aware of what the members of NJEA do for our school districts in Monroe Township and other townships. I think you are angry and you don't even have information.
I don't?
No, you don't.
Can I address this?
No, well, let's just finish with the public forum, and then we will.
See what this is? See what this is?
Mr. Klein?
See what this is? That's facts.
Mr. Klein?
I dropped it. It's facts. She says I don't know what I'm talking about.
We'll let her finish speaking,
No, go ahead.
please.
Keep going.
Many
These are
of us, year after year after year, have been asked by superintendents to please help pass the school budgets. We make phone calls. Does it help us? Yes. Does it help the children of the district? Yes. We help all the time. We make phone calls to our parents. We make phone calls to legislators. We email legislators. And you can't believe everything you read. I think you need to look into, get more information. Yes, I see what literature you're showing me. But you are talking directly to the MTEA
Which is all I
in
did.
anger over that article, and I feel that you have, my turn?
No,
My
be
turn?
my guest. Be my guest.
And I feel you don't have enough information to be that angry. Yes, you read. Did you look? Did you speak to anyone?
Can I answer,
No,
please? Am I
your time
entitled
is
to
up.
answer?
No, we're not going to have you answer right now. We're just going to do the public forum.
Thank you for listening.
You're welcome.
And as Karen has asked Mr. Klein, if anyone wants to ask questions of what we do, please come forward. Don't harbor anger and get the facts.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public?
First of all, I
Mr.
did not
Klein,
show anger.
Mr. Klein, that's
I
okay.
even complimented on what they did.
It's okay.
Jackie Winters, 14 Alexander Drive, Monroe. I would just like to thank the board members who sit before us that I know have walked the streets in regard to passing school budgets and referendums. Ken Chiarella, Ira Tesler, John Leary, and I have come full circle with our work on getting this high school built. Kathy Koloponowicz, Luke Hoffman, Mr. Klein, you're newer on the board. I don't know if have ever had conversations with some of your fellow board members, but they can look out in the audience and they can see many people. Some of them have left already, but they are joined at the hip when it comes to passing budgets and trying to get referendums passed and do things for our children. Okay, there have been many, many years that you weren't around. I think you have to recognize that. You failed to recognize that. And I would like to compliment the board. All the years that I've lived here, which is since 1978, and I've worked here since 1981, I've always found the board to be very professional and never had any type of insulting remarks made until I've heard some of the things that you've said from the table, not just this evening, but in the past, we have come to board meetings, and I remember watching you open your wallet when we had our last contract negotiations and saying, what do they want, a 5 or a 10, when we had our red shirts on? So those, I heard it with my own ears. But anyway, I would just again like to thank the board members who have worked with us all along, and many of the things we've accomplished are because of the great things that the MTEA has done along with the Board of Education members, both past and present. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public?
Budget I was not even involved in.
Yes,
That's
no,
when I was first elected, but that's no here nor there.
Shell Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. In reference to Applegarth, I saw in the newspaper that you're just starting to send bids out for reconstruction. Has anything been done since June?
We decided intentionally to go out to bid for asbestos remediation at this current time because there is a bottleneck of school districts that go out for it over the summer, and consequently, the costs are exorbitantly higher. So we're actually saving money, and we have the luxury of the time in this instance to do so.
Okay, because there was a whole thing last year about keeping the students in the school and how you were going to do everything this summer and nothing happened. Okay. 2, on the board action, the student-teacher placements, does that fall under the regulations of nepotism, the nepotism policy?
Student teachers, no, they are not employees of the district.
So the nepotism policy doesn't
No.
come into play on that. And so it's possible that board members can have their family members as student teachers?
Conceivable, yes.
Okay. Are there any in this round?
Not that I'm aware of, actually.
Okay. The solar study, Mr. Chiarello said something about they're still looking into the organization or the construction for an outside solar person. My question is, I didn't hear him discuss anything about a study that we had asked for, that some of the members of the public asked for, including myself, about a study evaluating both an outside source for putting the solar and in-house, like they're doing in Oak Tree. So is that off the table? Has that been discussed in facilities?
No, and I should have, I'm sorry for not being clear. But no, what we're doing now is we're just in the process of looking at different options. So the original, I guess a couple meetings ago where we were talking about looking at solar, we had a company come in and they were showing us the option of buying the panels and installing them, owning them ourselves. This time what we were looking at was the other option of not purchasing them and then buying the energy, but allowing them to install the panels, and then we would get a reduced rate. What we're doing now is just evaluating that proposal, and then we could make a decision as to.
Well, I think any proposal outside of actually owning it, like Oak Tree, should be evaluated next to that. I mean, the prime thing should be we should own it, we should get the benefit of it, because it seems like it's a moneymaker for Oak Tree, and then any other proposal should be compared to that. And then I would also ask, will that decision be made in committee, or will it be deliberated in public like it ought to be when that decision is finally made?
Well, what I'm thinking is we're going through, we're looking at the different things, and then we would talk to the entire board, because I don't know that, something we'd come up with at committee would be something that everybody else would agree with. Because to your point, I mean, if we buy the panels outright and then we put them up, then we have considerations to make. First of all, we have to, pay for the panels, and then we'd have to wait for the return on investment. Then on the other hand, we have the other option, which would be to have the company bear the burden of the cost and do the installation, the upkeep, and then we buy back the energy. But then we have other considerations to make with that. Like, is that
And then it's long-term costs
right?
rather
And is that
than
cost
recouping.
effective if we're, say, 14 cents a kilowatt hour or whatever that is,
Right.
turns out to be, and then prices go way up, we could look like we're geniuses. But on the other hand, if prices somehow go way down and we're still paying 14 cents, and we could really look ridiculous. So it's something that we all need to talk about.
Yeah, Mr. Chiarella is correct, because it's the committee that's doing the research. And when they decide on one way or the other, they'll bring a recommendation back to the board, and then the board will consider all the options.
And that's fine, except that usually doesn't happen in reality. The reality is the committees tend to make policy or make the decision, and then it's not deliberated on or discussed in public, and it's just voted on, as we saw this evening with the contracts. So these are the kinds of things that should be open, discussed in public. There's no reason not to, and it was so we can have a participatory government in this town. Which leads me to my last question. Was there anything different from the statement Mr. O'Leary almost read to what the resolution was this evening?
No, it was the exact same statement. He was just reading it at the wrong time.
Okay, so the point is, there was no need for deliberation in closed session because you've already made the decisions to...
No, we hadn't made the decision.
Well, it doesn't make sense. You had made, so if nothing changed, what was the discussion? You can say what the discussion was now.
The discussion was that only the negotiating committee had the information, and we had to discuss it with the rest of the board so that they would be able to vote on it.
I was the chair.
Well, there was no, okay, then my objection is there was no deliberation after the closed session. It was just brought...
Mr. Leary, when there is a motion made, there is a motion, there's a second. I always ask if there's any comments or questions, and if there isn't any, we go to the vote. So there is the opportunity for anybody to discuss anything they would like.
Well,
and I
shame
believe
on the
Mr.
Board of Education for not bringing all the facts. You're going to vote on it, fine. You're going to have a prepared statement, as we saw before the closed session. You're going to read it, fine. But out of courtesy to the public, the details that had to be asked by a member of the public should have been discussed before the vote. And that's what we're asking for when we talk about transparency. We have a right to hear the deliberations from, Mr. Gorski, I see that you're pointing that my time is up, but the chair has let other people talk beyond their time.
I have
So
not,
please
I
don't
have
try
not
to shut
stopped
me
you
up.
from talking.
So my point is deliberation, transparency, and respect for the public, that you put these things out before the vote. Any number of board members could have brought the facts to the floor before the vote was done. That's all we ask. If it's a done deal, if it's a predetermined situation, well, that's a different issue. But the public has a right to be told, and again, I object to the way the closed session's been handled, as I did with the superintendent's evaluation. We were never told it was the superintendent's contract that was being discussed. We were never told that there were contract discussions. The superintendent's contract went on for 3 months. We never knew it was a contract. We knew it was an evaluation.
We were never discussing his contract. We were
Well,
just...
then the third time you came out,
We were
for
discussing
the evaluation, you voted on his contract. And there was never anything on the agenda that said it was a vote for a contract. The public has a right to hear the deliberations of the board. Use your mic, please.
With respect to the board going into closed session to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent, that is ample notice to the public that coming out of closed session, they may act on something that results from that discussion, which could be a raise, which could be some other action of the board. But that is appropriate notice.
So legally, you're saying you're satisfied the way the closed resolutions are put to the public? They follow the statute?
I am telling you, I'm satisfied with the particular resolution that you're referring to, and I'm satisfied with the resolution, the way the process has proceeded tonight with respect to the negotiations.
And to the closed session, the way they go into closed session and then come out.
Absolutely.
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, you're clear that the resolution was put out to the public and...
I just answered it twice, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
Yes, once again, Doug Boy, 4 Tamarack Road. I have a rather mundane question. On page 21, item R, there was a performance agreement, $4,000 plus, and it's for the middle school musical that they're going to be doing. My question is, do they charge for that performance? And if they do charge, do the ticket receipts then come back into the board funds to help defray the cost of those royalty fees that you're paying? And so that I don't run out of time, I agree with what some of the other members of the public have said tonight. It may be all legal, but it is a disservice to the public. I was shocked because I come to almost every board meeting, almost every one for the past 2 years. I was shocked to read in the Sentinel that the superintendent's contract had been approved. I'm not saying I disapprove that the contract was approved, but I had looked at the agenda. I did not understand that that contract was going to be voted on last month, and as a member of the public, I feel that I should have had an opportunity to know that. Tonight, I come to the meeting not knowing that the teacher's contract was possibly going to be voted on. I realize legally it's perfectly fine, but I am telling you that when things are done that way, it is a disservice to the public, and I think it alienates the public because they feel that you're trying to do something behind the public's eyes. I don't think you're trying to do that, but I don't understand why the superintendent's contract could have been discussed, you could have made some kind of a decision, but the vote could have been this month. It could have appeared on the agenda as a separate item. Likewise for the teacher's contract, it could have appeared as a separate item on next month's agenda so that the public would have had an opportunity to know that, yes, these things are going to be possibly voted on tonight. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Poy, with regard to your first question on the performance agreement, the $4,372.50 is a copyright fee for the Peter Pan play itself, and there's a contract that we have that delineates all of the terms of that. And specifically to your second question, yes, revenues are collected for the play, and the last time the middle school had a play, there was a complete break even, so there was no cost to the district, and it was a good educational experience for the students.
Anyone else from the public?
Mary Payne, 5 Mulberry Court. I just have a question about the health care, because I am a teacher myself, so I know what we're going to be paying into it. I just want to know where that money is going to go. Is it going to relieve taxes in Monroe?
I'm going to elaborate at the risk of going a little further on this topic because there's 2 health care issues. The first one is the new health insurance law. As of July 1st, all employees of the district were required to pay 1.5% of their salaries into health care. That's currently being collected. Subsequent to that, there's a Chapter 78 law that collects a percentage of benefits or the greater of the 1.5% of salary. That's also being implemented. Those collections from employees' paychecks are budgeted for in advance and offset the appropriation for healthcare costs, which directly reduces the burden on the tax levy.
Because I know starting next year, it's based on your salary, and it can be up to, in 4 years, 28% of what you're paying for their health care. So that's a lot of money that's going back to the district. Is that going to be budgeted in so that maybe we'll see a little relief in our taxes? Is that
Absolutely, it has been for the 2011-2012 budget, and it will be in subsequent years. It's a requirement of the budget approval process.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Okay, seeing no one, our next scheduled public Board of Education meeting will be held on Wednesday, December 14, 2011, 7:00 p.m. at the high school. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Kaufman, who is the second? Mr. Masters, all in favor? Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.